Hello and welcome back on our channel and our new series, International Criminal Justice for Beginners. In this video, we're going to talk about crimes against humanity. But before we start, I'm going to remind you to subscribe to this channel and activate the notification button. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Crimes against humanity. What are these types of crimes? When we talk about crimes against humanity, we think of crimes committed on a large scale that lead to great damage to the population and its humanity, with humanity meaning humankind as a whole as well as individuals. Essentially, humanity refers to the entirety of the human population and the pure essence of being a human being, or as let's call it, dignity. Put in simple words, crimes against humanity involves a systematic violation of each individual's rights. As the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court states, it is an act committed against civilians that is part of a systematic and widespread attack with the knowledge of it happening. The legal term mens rea defines this act, whereby the systemic violation of rights is being done with knowledge, meaning it is done with intent. This kind of conduct can be committed during the state of war between nations, but also during peace without there being any conflict of interests. This differs from war crimes, which as we know must happen during war. This is one of the differences between these two internationally recognized atrocity crimes. Compared to the crime of genocide, crimes against humanity are not prohibited under the international human rights law, as there is no international convention that will sanction this.
When we speak about crimes against humanity, we are referring to a series of actions which are stated in the International Criminal Court Statute of Rome, under Article 7. In a specific way, we have to speak about murder and extermination, which could be considered similar. The difference between them consists in the fact that in the extermination's case, a large number of people have been killed. Extermination is also seen as a crime against humanity if it is being committed indirectly, for example, with the deprivation of food or medicine, and if conditions of life have been inflicted. Enslavement is another act known as crime against humanity. It refers to people who want to impose their control on other people's properties. Furthermore, we have to speak about deportation and forced transfer of people. Deportation has been in jurisdiction since Nuremberg, but forced transfer of people was only added in 1996. The difference between them consists in the area in which they are made. In particular, deportation happens outside nations' borders. The second happens within them. We also speak about imprisonment or other forms of severe freedom deprivation in violation of the rules of the international law. In this case, we are referring to people who have imprisoned one or more persons or deprived them of their physical liberty. Other acts are torture, apartheid, enforced disappearance of people, any kind of sexual violence like rape, sexual slavery, forced prostitution, forced pregnancy, forced sterilization. We have to include persecution against any group because of discriminatory reasons, including racial, political, national, ethnic, cultural, religious, gender. In the end, we have to include other inhuman acts of a similar character intentionally causing great suffering or serious physical or mental injuries. We can conclude in saying that every single one of these actions must be committed in the form of widespread and systematic attack with the knowledge of the act and its consequences.
A protected legal asset. Crimes against humanity can be seen as a multi-offensive act that can cause damage to legal assets of collective nature as well as individual nature. Collective legal assets are the concept of humanity, which is divided into humankind and humanness. Humankind being the entirety of the population and humanness being the essence of the human being. Additionally to these legal assets, we have the individual legal assets that are made up of physical and sexual integrity, as well as life and human dignity. Furthermore, the main essence of the crimes against humanity being a widespread and systemic attack, they develop to a threat to international peace. In this case, international peace is not seen as just the absence of war, but it is seen as respecting the fundamental human rights as well as the minimum standard of coexistence and the specific context of a proper society itself, of course, in addition to absence of conflict. With the appearance of these crimes, meaning the crimes against humanity, of course, the guaranteed protection from war crimes must be extended to the previously mentioned individual legal assets that are more personal. And therefore, also these personal legal assets are the ones that are protected in the category of crimes against humanity. Coming to a short recap of the whole video, I would like to go back to the very beginning of it, where it was said that the crimes against humanity are part of the jurisdictions of the International Criminal Tribunal of Rwanda and the International Criminal Tribunal of Yugoslavia. In both their statutes, the list of actions referred to crimes against humanity is the same, but there is one difference in the two articles that define these atrocity crimes. In the article number 5 of the ICTY statute, it states that the list of acts, of course being referred to the actions that make up the crimes against humanity, must be committed in an armed international or internal conflict. Whereas, on the other side, in the article number 3 of the ICTR statute, it does not mention the armed conflict that has to take place, but it requires two other elements. The first one being that the context of the widespread and systematic attack, and the second one that this attack has to be based on racial, national, political, ethnical, or religious motives or reasons. Another element that is included in the Rome Statute is the requirement of a certain organization of the entire attack itself. And this element is also known as the policy element. In contrast with genocide, crimes against humanity are an attack that can happen against any individual or group, but do not need to target a specific group. Whereas genocide specifically targets a group of people belonging to a certain religion, nationality, ethnic group, and so on. Another distinction that can be made is that in the case of crimes against humanity, the EC, which is short for elements of crime, state that it is not necessary to prove mens rea over the entire attack. In conclusion, I would like to finish off with a definition that was given by Philippe Sands in one of his appearances at the Columbia Law School, in which he defines the specific distinction of genocide and crimes against humanity as they are often mistaken. The definition says that genocide belongs to a group attack against, and crimes against humanity is an attack against individuals.
This video has been made by the group called Treaty of Rome. We thanked our teacher Gianni Lopresti for the coordination of the operations, and thanks to the European Forensic Institute for giving us this opportunity. We hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you again for another video.